Well, after Resident Evil and Resident Evil Apocalypse, we get Resident Evil Extinction. In our last episode, Alice had apparently been compromised by the Umbrella Corporation, in which they could track her and monitor what she was seeing, and she seemed to have Terminator vision as she was carted away with her friends. And boy, what's going to happen? And she's got all these new superpowers, and oh man, it's going to be a whole different thing. No. In fact, like I said, with Resident Evil, it's probably one of the few zombie movies where the actual zombie apocalypse doesn't happen until somewhere in between Apocalypse and Extinction. So, you had the destruction of Raccoon City at the end of Resident Evil Apocalypse, and then now it's some time has passed, and the T-virus has broke out despite nuking Raccoon City. It didn't matter; it still got out, and the whole world has pretty much been doomed. And environments are ruined. There's more deserts on the earth than there was before. It's just really awful. Truly the apocalypse. And so what happened with Alice and her friends? Well, she left her friends because she realized she was compromised. And we don't get to see any of this. This was probably a whole other movie that could have been done in between the two. But she does explain it when she reunites with some of them in the film, and says, "Well, I had to leave because they were tracking me and all this sort of stuff." And she broke into an Umbrella facility and was able to disable most of their systems, and then kept herself, on the down low out there in the desert, riding around. So there's a series of adventures here within this, scorched earth world. And first of all, Alice gets lured into a trap by some scoundrels who, I don't know, just either wanted to keep her as a sex slave or were going to eat her. I don't know what they're, she didn't have much for them to steal. She had a motorcycle, but I don't know. And then they were going to feed her to their dogs, their, mutant dogs or zombie dogs, what have you. And so, of course, they don't know who they're messing with, and she pretty much slaughters all of them. And she's on her way back out on the road again. And then we cut to our long-lost friends. Well, we only have one of them, really. Two, because the what's his name? I forgot his name, but the guy who was the comic relief in the previous movie. And he and the SWAT team guy are with this convoy of survivors, and Ali Larder, I believe her name was, the actress, she joins the franchise at this point, and she's kind of the leader of this group. And now the interesting thing is that the main goal of the previous movie was they wanted to save the scientist's daughter, Angela, who the Red Queen is based on, and they do, and she's with them at the end. And in this movie, where is she? I don't know. She's at first, when I initially saw this film, I thought there's this young blonde girl, and I thought, oh well, they hired some other actress and she's aged a bit. And no, this is an entirely different character that they nicknamed Kmart because the convoy just happened to find her all alone in a Kmart parking lot. So there you go. Why this couldn't be Angela, I don't know. But they just move on. And again, this is one where the transition between the films really drops off because, like I said, it seems like there was a whole other movie could have been done between the two, whereas the first two, they take up right where the other one left off pretty much. So anyway, so what about Alice's powers? Do we get to see evidence of that? Yeah, somewhat. But not quite what you probably would have thought. Not a whole lot. There's some interesting things where she goes to sleep and then she, has nightmares or what have you, and her powers are activated and she ends up lifting rocks around her and her motorcycle, and of course she destroys her motorcycle as a result of this, and didn't mean to, but it happens. This sort of thing. And then she's on foot through the desert. Will she survive? But as a result of her powers being activated, the Umbrella satellite can track her now. It knows the activity of this. Meanwhile, what's Umbrella up to? Well, the Lane Glenn character is still around, and he's in a underground facility in the middle of some desert somewhere. I guess this is somewhere outside of Las Vegas. They end up in Vegas at some point. So it's somewhere in that vicinity. And Umbrella's just got all these underground facilities everywhere, and they're trying to figure out how to restore the world, but to their advantage. And I guess the whole plot was to create a slave race of docile zombies that could perform work. That's what they were trying to do. But anyway, so he's been experimenting, and the interesting thing, and you kind of wonder if this is what they were intending, was he's got all these clones of Alice, and they keep making her relive the opening parts of the first film, where she wakes up in the shower and she doesn't remember who she is and all that sort of thing. He makes it, what is this? Oh, was the whole first film just a simulation for another Alice clone? But that's what they do, and they apparently have all this, the mansions recreated in this underground facility and all that. So, for whatever reason, she keeps failing the test and she gets killed. And so they take a blood sample and they dump the corpse in a pile outside the facility above ground. So eventually Alice herself finds this and she's like, oh my god. It's really horrible. But Lane Glenn himself it tries to develop a bunch of super zombies, and he turns them loose on Alice and her friends. There's a big battle, and most of their friends get bitten and they're done for, and that's pretty much it for them. But Lane Glenn gets bit, and he has to take the antivirus, but it doesn't quite work, and he mutates into a giant monster. And the climactic battle is between him and Alice, which has more demonstrations of her power, but not so much. It's not what you would have thought that she had by this time, and this many. It seems to suggest a couple of years have gone by that she would have developed more telekinetic powers and this sort of thing. But she does. There was another interesting thing. The convoy, when Alice finds them, she just happens to be passing by, and they're being threatened by a flock of crows, I believe. And the thing of it is like a lot of the zombie movies rarely deal with other animals. It's always humans, or they just stipulate that like in Walking Dead, the animals just can't be affected by the zombie virus. So here, the crows have been eating the flesh of infected people and whatnot, and now they're infected. So they start attacking the convoy, and it looks pretty bad. There's kind of a swarm of crows there. And then Alice shows up with her mental powers and burns them all up. And so there you go. Problem solved. And that's that. So once she figures out a way to save them, there's supposed to be some sanctuary in Alaska, and they're trying to get there. And they don't have enough fuel to get there, but she manages to steal one of the Umbrella helicopters. But first they had to sacrifice the SWAT team leader guy, and he's done. And so Kmart and Ali Larda's character, Claire, I believe her name was, they escape with the remaining convoy people on the helicopter headed for Alaska. So Alice decides to stay behind, of course, and confront Umbrella, which she does. And of course, Lane Glenn is now the mutated creature. I believe in the video game version they call him the Tyrant. Okay, and they fight it out. And of course, she wins. They recreate. They end up in the recreation of the mansion, and then the scene where the laser trap gets them, and she's expecting to die with him, and he gets sliced to pieces and falls into a pile of meat. But then the laser machine stops, and it turns out one of her clones that she thought had died was still alive and saved her. And then the two of them join together, and they find the remaining clones in their little spheres of water or whatever they keep them in. And she realizes, well, now she's got an army of her. Whoa, where's this going? Yeah, well, that's how the movie ends. And in the next movie, what's she gonna... Alice has a whole army. Won't that be cool? Yeah, well, it's, Mila does her best with this. She really did own the female action hero character, but that's about it. And well, they're in a new location, so there's something like that. They're in the desert, so there's that. But so it's just a fun little romp. But is it a great film or anything? No. And a lot of things I thought they could have done, just never even thought of it, apparently. So there you go. Resident Evil Extinction. You would think after an apocalypse and an extinction, it'd be over. But no, there's another one coming, and we'll get to that shortly. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe? And for those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And while you're here, yes, check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores for you.